The Seeds of Tomorrow. Standing at the edge of the village field, John felt the wind brush against his face, carrying the familiar scent of soil and grass. Children ran barefoot, their laughter rising like music, unburdened by fear or expectation. He watched them closely, noticing himself in their carefree movements. Once he had been one of them, running without knowing where life would take him, trusting that tomorrow would somehow be kind. Emma stood beside him, her hand gently resting in his. Harry was a few steps away, attempting to join the children in their game, failing miserably, yet laughing louder than all of them. John smiled. Some things truly never changed. That evening, as the sun melted into the horizon, the village gathered near the old banyan tree. It had always been a place of stories, of elders sharing wisdom, and children listening with wide eyes. Uncle Peter sat proudly beside John, urging him to speak. "You've seen the world," Uncle Peter said softly. "Now tell the children what you've learned." John hesitated. Speaking to audiences in cities was one thing, but speaking here, where his roots lay, felt different. This was not just an audience, this was his beginning. He cleared his throat. "I once believed," John began, "that leaving this village meant leaving everything behind. I thought growth meant distance, but I learned something important. Wherever you go, you carry your beginning with you. It shapes how you think, how you feel, and how you treat others." The children listened intently. The elders nodded, understanding every unspoken word. Life will challenge you. You will fall, you will doubt yourself, and sometimes you'll feel lost. But remember, being lost doesn't mean being weak. It means you're searching. That night, something shifted. Not just within John, but within the village itself. Conversations sparked. Dreams were spoken aloud. Parents looked at their children differently, seeing not limitations, but possibilities. A new vision. After returning to the city, John couldn't shake the feeling that his journey was asking more of him. Writing and speaking had become his purpose, but now that purpose felt incomplete. He wanted to build something lasting, something that connected his past to the future. One night, while sitting at his desk, surrounded by notebooks filled with thoughts and unfinished poems, he spoke aloud. "What if I could give others what I once needed?" Emma looked up from her book. "What do you mean?" "A space," John replied, "for children who feel unseen, for students who are afraid, for anyone who thinks their pain disqualifies them from success." Emma smiled gently. "Then build it." That simple encouragement planted a powerful idea. Over the following months, John worked tirelessly. He connected with old teachers, social workers, and friends from different phases of his life. Harry helped with planning, turning ideas into structure. Emma supported quietly but steadily, reminding John to rest when exhaustion threatened to take over. They named it the Quiet Strength Foundation. Its mission was simple: to provide emotional education, mentorship, and creative expression to young minds, especially those from small villages and underprivileged backgrounds. Workshops focused not just on careers, but on self-worth, emotional resilience, and purpose. Writing became a core tool, allowing participants to express what they could not say aloud. The foundation started small, in borrowed classrooms and community halls, but its impact grew quickly. Resistance and reality. Not everyone welcomed John's vision. Some questioned the practicality. "Emotions don't pay bills," one scoffed. "Focus on skills, not feelings," another advised. Funding was difficult. Bureaucracy was exhausting.
There were nights John sat alone, staring at rejection emails, wondering if he was asking too much of himself and of the world. One evening, overwhelmed, he called Harry. "Do you ever feel like quitting?" John asked quietly. Harry paused. "All the time, but then I remember if it was easy, it wouldn't matter this much." Emma, sensing John's inner struggle, placed a handwritten note on his desk that night. It read, "You once survived silence. Now you're giving voice to many. Don't stop." John folded the note carefully and placed it in his notebook, the same one where his journey had begun years ago. Growth through storms. Slowly, things began to change. A former workshop participant wrote to him, "I was planning to drop out. I thought I was useless. Your words helped me believe in myself." Another said, "I wrote my first poem because of you. I didn't know pain could become something beautiful." Local newspapers covered the foundation's work. Volunteers joined. Donations came, not in abundance, but enough to keep moving forward. John learned that purpose was not about constant success, it was about persistence. Emma and John grew closer through these trials. Their love was quiet but deep, built on shared values rather than grand gestures. They spoke often about balance, between giving and living, between ambition and peace. One evening, John asked her, "Do you ever regret choosing a life that's not easy?" Emma smiled softly. "I don't want easy. I want honest. And this," she gestured to their life, "is honest." Coming home again. Years later, the foundation expanded to multiple villages. One of its centers was built near John's childhood home. The opening day felt surreal. Children filled the halls with laughter. Walls were painted with quotes about courage and growth. A small library stood proudly in one corner, filled with books John once dreamed of reading as a child. Uncle Peter, now slower but just as warm, attended the opening ceremony. "You didn't escape this place," he said, his voice trembling. "You transformed it." John hugged him, emotion rising in his chest. Harry flew in for the event, joking as always, but his eyes shone with pride. "I told you, you were never meant to live small." The weight of legacy. As John grew older, he became more aware of time, not as an enemy, but as a responsibility. He mentored young leaders within the foundation, teaching them not just how to lead, but how to listen. One young boy, Arun, reminded him painfully of his younger self, quiet, observant, carrying sorrow too heavy for his age. One afternoon, Arun asked, "Sir, does pain ever leave?" John knelt beside him. "No," he said honestly, "but it changes, and one day you'll realize it taught you how to understand others." Arun nodded, comforted by the truth. John realized then that his greatest contribution was not the organization, the books, or the speeches, but moments like these. Love and continuity. John and Emma married quietly, surrounded by those who mattered most. There were no grand celebrations, only sincerity, laughter, and warmth. Their home became a place of reflection and creativity. Evenings were spent discussing ideas, reading drafts, or simply sitting in silence. One night, Emma asked, "Do you feel complete?" John thought carefully. "I feel aligned, and that's enough." They later welcomed a child into their lives, a gentle soul with curious eyes. Holding the baby for the first time, John felt the circle of life tighten lovingly around him. "I will teach you," he whispered, "that your feelings matter." The ever-evolving path. Years passed like chapters turning. John's writing reached more people than he ever imagined. His talks inspired not just students, but educators, leaders, and parents. Yet he remained grounded, returning often to the village, walking the same paths, remembering the boy he once was. One evening, sitting under the banyan tree again, he wrote his final journal entry. "I once thought my story was about survival. Then I learned it was about understanding, and now I know it's about service." He closed the notebook gently. Children laughed nearby. Emma watched the sunset. Harry argued with someone about something trivial. Life was imperfect and beautiful. John smiled, knowing that his journey, like life itself, was not meant to be completed, but continued. And somewhere, another quiet child was beginning their own story, unaware that one day their pain, too, would become purpose.